not just for yourself, I'm a bestseller, a house flipper, a businesswoman, a go-getter, a big investor, a gold builder that could teach you to get richer like millions, baby. You really about to fill your savings. You about to have multiple streams to pass your children, baby. Let me teach you to get your credit on track in the long run. You'll make it all back at Catalyst and watch it all psychology black on firm, but we ain't all black.
Hey, what's happening? It's your girl, Constance Carter. I am live here today, and I wanted to have a conversation because I found something that I thought was interesting, and I think that there's some good things, there's some lessons that can be learned from them. And so I wanted to have a dialogue. I wanted to have an open discussion about, housing discrimination, renting, ownership, from a landlord's perspective and also from a tenant's perspective. And what does that really look like, and how does it really affect you? Because that is extremely important as we get into, investing in real estate, or as we are tenants, and so really this is not a conversation that I want to have about putting anybody down for being a landlord or a filthy, dirty landlord, or for someone who hasn't been able to be in a position to buy yet. But let's have a real discussion around what that really looks like. So as you come in, and I know people are going to be coming in all throughout this time, I want you to tell me, where are you from? Where are you hailing from? Because I want to go ahead and recognize you and see who we got on here. Hi, Ramona. How you doing? You said this is sad. Well, Ramona, where are you watching from? I want to know where everybody's watching from. This is Constance Carter, and I'm please subscribe to the Fly Nubian Queen. Please subscribe to Constance Carter's YouTube page. Please subscribe to my Facebook page, my Instagram page. But let's get right to it. Let's go ahead and have a dialogue. All right. So Janet said she is from Chicago, but she also said, I sued my landlord, and during this, I still paid my rent, but he said I had to move. So let's talk about this situation I'm talking about currently. There was a situation in Ohio, y'all. And what happened was this lady had lived in this place for 8 years. This gentleman had purchased the property, and now he no longer wants to rent to African Americans. He told her straight up, I do not want to rent to African Americans. Now, he's from another country. I don't know how he didn't know that wasn't legal to not rent to African Americans, but he straight up told her that he didn't want to rent to African Americans, and he told her she had to go. So I want to just kind of show you what we're talking about. Look, check this out, you guys. Check this out, this quick clip.
I told you already, I'm trying to sell a house, and I really don't want, and you really don't want any African Americans in the house. I need you to hurry and give me my key.
So this man straight up told this Black mother of, I think she has 6 children, that he did not want to rent to her. He wanted his key. He said he will send the police over there. But he also told her that he was going to tell her new landlord that she was a good tenant and, that she's fine. He just didn't want to rent to her because she's Black. So there's all this evidence that's mounting against him. Look at this here. He sent her text messages, and he said, it's nothing against you. I just rather put a white family in this unit. You did nothing wrong. I just don't want a family of color here. Maybe you should go try a shelter. How cruel is that? This man was going to put this disabled woman and her 6 kids in a shelter simply because she's Black. He said, I told you I'm not getting anything on the inspection. So there was an inspection. She's on housing. There's some inspections and some things that needed to be fixed so that the house could pass inspection. And he says, I'm not going to fix them because I don't want it to pass inspection, because I want you to get out. I want it to fail. It's going to fail because I'm not fixing anything or doing anything until you are gone. But I told you, I want you gone. I will not rent to African Americans again. I don't know why the previous landlord did, so please stop texting me. Then he also said, do you know when you're going to be giving me the keys? Time is running out, and I'll talk to the other landlord and tell him that you pay your rent on time, that you always keep a clean house. I just don't want you here at this property, or have you looking into trying to get it into, no, we'll look into try to get you into a shelter for you and your family. I don't want to call the police. Imagine that. This man straight up told this lady he will call the police to get her out simply because she's Black. What TF is absolutely right, Janet. Like, this is straight up I mean, this is as blatant as it gets. Now, there is housing discrimination all over. And I know you said, Janet, that you sued your landlord and you continue paying your rent. Some discrimination isn't as obvious, but there are federal discrimination, federal fair housing laws that have been put into place since the 60s. And so I want to make sure that you, as the tenants, you know your rights, because it's very important, because there are over 30,000 complaints filed every year in this country because of housing discrimination. And so if you are in a position to be a tenant, there's a chance that just because of the color of your skin, you may be a victim of housing discrimination. And so I want to make sure that you're equipped with all the tools that you need in the event that you are brought up with this. So let's talk about it. So there's things that you could do. Each state has their own laws around housing discrimination. So Tina Cisco says, anyone who is shocked by this simply doesn't know what it's in store for them. Keep falling for this people of color narrative and that we're all the same. Yeah, because listening to the accent, this person, he may be a person of color. His name was Sergey, though. He was probably Russian, but he may consider himself, if he was from maybe a Middle Eastern place, he would consider himself a person of color. And as a person of color, they would be afforded the same rights and opportunities as us, who are actually the ones who are being discriminated against, because they are actually checked that box. So let's talk about that. But let's talk about, before we get there, let's talk about what that means to you and how you can counter that if you are a tenant. How you can counter this housing discrimination, what you can do. All right, so you can go online. Each state has a fair housing department, and through HUD that you can file a complaint. Okay, so like I said, there are over 30,000 complaints that are filed each year. A landlord can be fined up to $50,000 in fines. And that's just from the state. That's just from the federal government. However, there are fines, or you can sue also as the tenant should this happen to you. So if you are a landlord, let's talk about it on the other side, because I've heard people, Black people that I know, that said that they won't rent to Black people. They said Black people tore up my house, so I'm not going to rent to Black people. And you better be very careful when you're saying things like that, when you're painting people with a broad brush. Listen, you already got other people, which is living proof, that think this way. I don't want to rent to Black people. And then you have Black people saying that they don't want to rent to Black people. Then where does that leave us? How are we supposed to grow as a community if we are unwilling to help each other out? Just because another Black person tore up your house or slighted you, it doesn't mean that somebody else will. It's like, I remember when this lady had worked for me. She was a person of another color. And she told me, she said, yeah, I used to work at McDonald's. And she said, one time, this lady, she came in, she was Black, and she had an attitude. And she thought this was funny. She was telling me this like it was funny. She had an attitude. So every time a Black person would come through the drive-through, they would say, oh, it's Shanae. Shanae's at the drive-through, you guys. And I looked at her, and she thought it was funny because, I'm not like them. I'm not like them. But how do they know I'm not like them? So when I go through that drive-through, they looking at me like I'm like Shanae. That's people painting us with a broad brush. As African Americans, we must do better when it comes to doing business with our people, when it comes to helping our community. How many people here in the comments box have you heard people say, I don't do business with Black people? How many people have heard that? I don't do business with Black people. How many of you heard somebody say that, or have maybe said that in the past? I don't do business with Black people. So here's the thing. Here's my thing about that. If they won't do business with us and we won't do business with us just simply by the color of our skin, how in the world are we going to get ahead? There is a real serious wealth gap that we have going on here, a real serious wealth gap. And they say by the year 2053, our net worth is going to be a zero. And understand this, there's nobody that is going to save African American people. Black people are only going to save themselves. Now, I'm not saying to discriminate against anybody. I'm saying that there's nobody that's going to look out for you other than you. We have to be in a position to save ourselves. So that also means that when we are in positions of power, where we are landlords, we have to be very mindful of looking at people as individuals and not a whole race. There's no other race that has to be responsible for another person as we do. So now, because somebody black slighted you, I'm not renting to anybody black. But do you do that when you go to a Chinese restaurant and you eat at a Chinese restaurant? Maybe the server is rude, or maybe the service is not the greatest. You're not going to stop eating at a Chinese restaurant. But a lot of times we'll stop eating at a black restaurant because of we got rude service from this black restaurant. We do this to ourselves. And so I'm speaking directly to black people. I just want us to be mindful because the odds are stacked against us. Just like I think it was Jessica said, how do we know anyone? No, Tina said, anyone who's shocked by this simply doesn't know what's in store for them, because it's been happening since we've landed on the shores here, 1619. So the real question is, what are we going to do to change the narrative? How are we going to make a difference? What are we going to do? Well, number one, we have to be in positions of power. We have to be in positions where we own 80% of wealth in this country is generated through real estate. So how are we going to get in position where now we are the lender and not the borrower? We have to have those real conversations, not only with ourselves, within ourselves, and say, okay, I got to position myself so I won't be the victim. I won't have to file these fair housing lawsuits. But how can I be the loaner, the lender, and not the borrower? Getting in position. What does that look like? What does getting in position look like, you guys? And this is a real question. Tina also says, we're the only group not allowed to be individuals. They always see us as our lowest denominators. Ooh. Queen Esther Lacey said, I used to feel that way. And so what changed your mind, Queen Esther Lacey? What changed your mind from feeling that way, that I don't do business with black people? What changed in your life? Tina said, I have some ideas, but I'm not ready to have this fight. Well, why not? Why not, Tina? Why not? Let's talk about it. Because at the end of the day, nobody is going to save us but us. So if you've had any semblance of housing discrimination, let me tell you about that. Go to HUD.gov and you'll find out everything that you need to know about fair housing in your particular state. Every state has a law on the books about fair housing. How can you fight that? So if there's anything that looks remotely like somebody is discriminating against you for any reason, you need to call fair housing, period. Okay. But the other thing is, these folks are getting away. And Tina, I want to know, what your thoughts are around that. The other thing is, if you are a landlord, we have to be in a position, I own a real estate company. And at one time we had a property management arm. And do you know, HUD does like a secret shopper where they will call and they will listen. They will ask certain questions. So this is also for private owners too. You cannot discriminate against anyone because of their race, their sex, their marital status, their gender, their religion. You cannot say, I don't want anybody to live in my apartments or live in my house. I'm renting a single family home. You can't say that based upon their race or gender or, their status. But they will test to see if you do. And if you do, you can be fined. You can be shut down. Just 5 months ago, there was an unprecedented settlement right here in Washington, D.C., where I am now. 3 real estate companies had to pay $10 million in penalties because they were keeping Black people in Washington, D.C., formerly Chocolate City, out of certain neighborhoods. They were very specific in targeting Black people because they didn't want them in these prominent wards in Washington, D.C. And so just 5 months ago, they were penalized. And the broker who was the broker of these real estate companies lost her broker license for 15 years. It's real serious. And so the only way this changes is if we take action when these things happen against us. Don't take it laying down. I know that, my parents, I remember when we were renting when I was younger, and I remember the landlord talking to my dad real crazy. And my dad just kind of took it because he didn't understand. He didn't know his rights. But today you have the information, you have access to the internet. And so what I want to make sure that you do is getting in the position of being the lender and not the borrower. So that means getting your credit together, getting your money together. If you have a job, you can own a home. Now, credit is very menial. I have books about credit. I have Keeping Score, What You Need to Know to Make Your Credit Score Grow, which was a bestseller, which helped thousands of people increase their credit score, hundreds of points. I also have this workbook called Build Credit to Build Wealth. And this is a workbook that gives you homework, motivates you. And I also have an online training. It's a credit repair masterclass, which will actually not only show you how to increase your credit score, but it'll show you how to fix not only your credit, but other people's credit. You can monetize, make money, and all that stuff. But there's no reason why you should not be in a position, especially if you have a job or some kind of permanent income. Even if you're on Section 8, they have vouchers to help you become a homeowner. That's how you get real power in becoming the lender and not the borrower, is getting in position so that you can own the real estate. Don't let these other people categorize or corner you into victimization. It's time for us to take our power back. 43% of African Americans are homeowners. And I think that's great. I mean, compared to 70% of our white counterparts being homeowners, 43% of us are homeowners. And that's in spite of everything that's happened to us systemically, all the discrimination, the predatory lending, the redlining, all those things that happen to us. We're still homeowners. So you absolutely could still be a homeowner. One of the things for me when I first got my real estate license, I just wanted to show my brother that it was possible to own a home. Right. My brother was like, he never thought he could own a home. He thought he was going to be in an apartment for the rest of his life. That wasn't even on the radar for him. So now I've not only helped my family own not just one home, but multiple homes, but I've been able to help so many other people do the same thing and really generate real wealth. That's what I want for you. So I don't want you to be in these positions where you have to be, filing these fair housing lawsuits. And if you are, hey, God bless you, that's fine. But I want to put you in a position and educate you on how you can be empowered so that you can be the lender and not the borrower. We have so much wealth in our community. We have the wealth of a small country, almost a continent. Black people have that type of wealth and that type of power. Now, if we just come together and even, that unity thing, if we could just come together and build, man, we'd be a powerful force. But by default, because let me tell you, what did J. Edgar Hoover say was the most dangerous thing in America in 1955? He said Black unity was. And if we can unify and come together and build our communities, there's nothing that could stop us. But it starts with that individual mindset. And then we have to start working together and stop working individually, but work together to build. But little things, if you go to work every day, you paying your bills every day, you can get into a position to where you can own a home. And that's what I want for you. So on our website, catalystrealestate.com/DPA, there is information on down payment assistance throughout the entire country. So I want you to go there. If you don't have money to get into position to purchase a home, just go to our website, catalystrealestate.com/DPA. And I'm going to put this in the chat. Catalyst Real Estate. Put that in the chat for me, Kim. catalystrealestate.com/DPA. And go to that website, click on that link, and you'll see all the down payment assistance in the entire country. So that could actually get you on the road. And of course, we have these books that can help you out to get your credit right. But let's get in position so that you can begin to own a home. Okay. So Queen said, you're right. You right now help me see differently. I've been burnt trying to support Black-owned businesses and lost so much, but now I won't group it because they were Black. Maybe I can express to them in a survey format so that they can do better. Let me tell you something. I went to a conference one time, and I'm so glad you said that, because I think constructive feedback is better. So I had a couple of different situations, right? So I had one situation where I went to a conference and it was just kind of like all over the place and it wasn't done really well. And I reached out to the person who did it afterwards, and I gave constructive feedback. He received it. And then there was one time where I was doing a retreat, and I got some shirts made from one vendor and I got shirts made from another vendor. And the more expensive vendor, hers was raggedy. And so I gave her some, which I thought was constructive feedback. I said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and, give you your money back, but I just want to let you know that, the quality, this, that, I really think. And you know what she told me? All right, then when you going to give me my money? So I said that to say some people will take constructive feedback and some people will not take constructive feedback. But I think that rather than writing everybody off, I think we should give constructive feedback to say, what can we do better? How can we be, better in our customer service so that more people will patronize us? Let's see. Tina said, I do want to add, I absolutely love you and your content, very genuine and authentic. Thank you, Tina. I appreciate you. She also said, it may be too late or about to be too late with these big companies and foreign nationals buying up the homes. They have come out and said they want us to be renters. You're absolutely right. In 2008, when all those houses went into foreclosure, and about 2012, when we started seeing a shift in the market and foreclosures were drying up, they weren't drying up because people were buying them. They were drying up because corporations were buying them. And Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were giving it to them with a deep, deep, deep discount. They weren't giving it to the regular, citizens of America. They were really giving them to these corporations. So you're right, but it doesn't mean that there's not still opportunity for us. Okay, so I want to make sure that people are still taking advantage of opportunities. As a senior, should I try to own in senior living? That's where I'm at. Yeah. Queen Esther, if you're 55 plus, there are senior areas, and they're actually a lot of times a lot lower, but they do tend to keep their value, and they're really nice and well maintained. Let's see. I did the research a few years ago. Black people in America have more income than the entire GDP of Nigeria, the largest economy in Africa, if I remember correctly. It's our mindset. You're absolutely right. So Kim wanted to mention Darrow Realty was the company in DC, Darrow Realty, who was no longer in existence, but they were being very specific about and intentional about keeping Black people out of these neighborhoods. And that's why we have to be so vigilant about getting Black people in the neighborhoods and making sure that we are represented. I remember when I moved in a community, it was an affluent community, and we were the only Black people. And I remember they made me feel real bad about, I was just like, why did I move me and my Black sons? I have 3 boys and a girl. I moved my Black sons to this neighborhood. And then I was like, F these folks. They gonna have to get used to me and my Black sons. So we made sure that we Blackified our neighborhood. We was out there racing in the streets. They had to see us. So we have to, I don't care whether they want us there or not. My point is, we have to make our presence known. And so that's going to be extremely important. So I don't care what they do. I don't care how many corporations have bought up these houses. There are still opportunities out there for you. There's still opportunities for us to build wealth. Come together. We work together. We will go much further. There's that African proverb that says, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, we got to go together. And that's going to be extremely important as we embark on, us trying to make sure that we close a wealth gap. We have so many more millionaires. We have so much more access. We have so many more opportunities because of the power of the internet. I really, truly believe that. Now it's time to take advantage. Okay. So I just wanted to talk about that. I didn't want to hold you too long. But thank you guys for tuning in and being so diligent with me on this. Queen said, I wish I was moving to California. Do you represent Arizona or a sister company here? I actually, yeah, I can help you out. So just go ahead and DM me, Miss Queen. And I'm actually on the East Coast now. I moved from California. I'm not there anymore. I'm actually in the DC area. I'm in the DMV area. But I appreciate you guys for hanging with me. I'll be going live more often. And we'll be talking about hopefully things that really matter to you, because I want to make sure that you are getting, all the information that you need, because the ultimate goal is for us to build the community together. Yes, Greta, I'm in DC, baby. Tina, I'm in DC. We got to do lunch, you guys. We got to do lunch. DM me. Let's figure out something and let's do lunch, because I'm in the building. I'm actually in Bowie, to be honest with you. But I'm out here. I'm actually getting ready to go to DC right now, right after I leave here. But you guys, thank you for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube, Fly Nubian Queens YouTube, Constance Carter's Facebook page, my Instagram page for all the content. I do it for y'all. So I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. And listen, you guys DM me. Let's do lunch. Let's hang out. All right. I ain't got no friends here, so I need friends. All right. Take care. God bless.